paint the wall. It is said that Meng Longtan of Jiangxi province lived in the capital with Xu Zhuren. They came to a temple by chance and saw that the monks' dormitories were not very spacious. Only an old monk who traveled around lived in it temporarily. When the old monk saw the guests coming in, he straightened his clothes and came out to greet them and guide them around the temple. In the main hall, there is a statue of Sigong with his hands and feet shaped like bird claws. The murals on the walls on both sides are very exquisite, and the characters on them are lifelike. On the east wall are painted many goddesses scattering flowers. Among them is a girl with hanging hair. She is holding flowers in her hands and smiling. Her small cherry mouth seems to be talking and her eyes are moving. Xu Zhuren stared at her for a long time, and suddenly he was immersed in the contemplation of adoration. Suddenly he felt that his body was floating leisurely, as if he was riding on clouds and mist, and he had arrived at the mural. Seeing the overlapping palaces and pavilions, it is no longer a scene in the human world. There was an old monk preaching Buddhism on the seat, surrounded by many monks listening to the lecture. Xu Zhuren also stood among them. After a while, someone seemed to be holding his shirt secretly. Looking back, it turned out to be the girl with wavy hair, walking away with a smile. Xu Zhuren immediately followed behind her. After passing the zigzag fence, the girl entered a small house. Xu Zhuren stopped and did not dare to go any further. The girl turned around, raised the flower in her hand, and greeted him from a distance, and Xu Zhuren followed. Seeing that there was no one in the house, he went to hug the girl. The girl didn't resist very much, so he became affectionate with her. Soon the girl closed the door and went out, telling Xu Zhuren not to cough and make any noise. At night she came again. After 2 days of this, the female companions noticed, and together they searched Xu Zhuren out, and joked to the girl, "The baby in your belly is already so old. Do you still want to let your hair down and become a virgin?" They all brought hairpins and earrings to urge her. "Change your hair into a young woman's hairstyle." The girl was too embarrassed to speak. A female companion said, "Sisters, we don't want to stay here too long. I'm afraid they won't be happy." The female companions left with a smile. Xu Zhuren looked at the girl. Her cloud-shaped bun was standing high, and the phoenix hairpin that tied her bun was hanging down. She was even more stunning than when her hair was hanging down. Seeing that there was no one around, he gradually became intimate with the girl. The scent of orchids and musk was refreshing, and the two of them were immersed in joy. Suddenly, I heard the violent clang of leather boots, accompanied by the clang of rope locks. Immediately there was the sound of noisy arguments again. The girl was startled and looked out secretly with Xu Zhuren. They saw a divine man wearing golden armor, with a black face, holding a rope lock and carrying a big mallet. Many women surrounded him. The god in golden armor asked, "Have they all arrived?" The women replied, "They have all arrived." He also said, "If there is anyone hiding a mortal in the lower world, you must report it immediately and don't find fault on your own." All the women said in unison, "No." The golden-armored god turned around and looked around fiercely like an osprey, as if he was about to conduct a search. The girl was very frightened. Her face turned pale with fright, and she said to Xu Zhuren in a panic, "Hurry up and hide under the bed." She herself opened the small door on the wall and fled in a hurry. Xu Zhuren lay under the bed, not daring to express his anger. Soon I heard the sound of leather boots coming into the room and walked out again. After a while, the noise of the crowd gradually faded away, and Xu Zhuren felt a little calmer. However, there are always people coming and going, talking outside the door. He lay restlessly for a long time, his ears ringing like cicadas, his eyes burning, and he could hardly bear it. But he could only listen quietly, waiting for the girl to return, and he no longer remembered where he came from. Meng Longtan was in the main hall at that time. Xu Zhuren disappeared in a blink of an eye, so he asked the old monk strangely. The old monk smiled and said, "I went to listen to the preaching of Buddhism." Meng Longtan asked, "Where is it?" The old monk replied, "Not far." After a while, the old monk flicked his finger on the wall and called out, "Almsgiver Xu has been traveling for so long, why hasn't he come back yet?" Immediately he saw Zhu Juren's portrait appearing on the mural. He stood with his ear bent, as if he heard it. The old monk called again. Your playmate has been waiting for a long time. Zhu Juren then wandered down from the wall, standing there frustrated and dumbfounded. Meng Longtan was greatly surprised and asked him slowly. It turned out that Zhu Juren was lying under the bed just now and heard a thunderous knocking on the wall, so he came out of the room to listen. At this time, they looked at the girl holding flowers in the mural. She had a high bun and no longer hung her hair down. Zhu Juren saluted the old monk in surprise and asked him what was going on. The old monk smiled and said, "Illusions come from the human heart. How can a poor monk understand it?" Zhu Juren felt depressed and uncomfortable, while Meng Longtan was frightened and helpless. The two immediately stood up to say goodbye, walked down the stairs and laughed.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.